Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be talking about an isekai. For those who don't know, an isekai is basically when the male protagonist, antagonist, whoever it is, ends up being transported to another world. So it's always a fantasy, maybe sci-fi. Usually it's a fantasy about being transported to a magical world. The process of being transported is probably the most interesting thing, in the beginning at least, and then obviously the world where you end up, and in some instances how you end up, in terms of are you still a human being, whoever it might be. So the one I want to talk about today starts off pretty weird. It's called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Yeah, you heard me, slime. So the main character, Senpai, he changes his name eventually or whatever. So he starts off by walking with a student or younger friend of his, somebody that looks up to him and calls him Senpai, and out of nowhere some lunatic runs very aggressively. I'm pretty sure, I would say determined to stab somebody. He's almost hunched, just running down the pavement, and he passes a few people, which is fine and perfectly normal. But at some point, the characters that we're watching decide to not move, and about to get stabbed, and then obviously Senpai here decides to just jump in front of the guy who's running aggressively with a knife like a lunatic, all hunched up, and he dies. It gets weirder as he's dying. This voice comes out of nowhere, this digital voice, much like the voice in Iron Man's helmet, and some form of AI, and it tells him stuff. Starts saying weird stuff. And as he's dying, I should mention, he requests his PC hard drive be wiped and pretty much destroyed to the point where all the data on it can no longer be recovered. That pretty much gives you an idea of the type of humor, as this guy's dying, bleeding way too much all over the place, and rolling around a little as he's doing it. That's pretty sad. And in case I forgot to mention, this first episode anyway, that I'm looking at, starts off with him talking about how he's 30 plus and still a virgin, and there seems to be a theme that he looks perfectly normal, but he's a bit of a maybe otaku or just loser, who knows, but he talks about being a virgin as well as now lying on the ground on a pavement, dying as one in Japan. How sad. And then he wakes up in some form of alternate reality or world as a slime, a bluish, transparent, translucent slime with no eyes, no mouth, no nothing. But he still continues to hear this annoying AI voice telling him he has powers and he's learning stuff or whatever. And then, he becomes eventually an indestructible slime ball with an AI voice assisting him. And then naturally he meets a dragon, which he can't see. He eventually learns how to see the dragon by growing some kind of magical sense that allows him to see. Can't really talk yet, so he's communicating telepathically. And that's where it kicks off. So if you're into, I don't want to say high fantasy, but if you're into low fantasy or generic fantasy, this is with some kind of isekai element. I don't know what him being transported to this other world has anything to do with the actual fantasy itself, if that makes any sense. So yes, it's an isekai, but he's about as generic as you can get. And I've watched a couple of episodes as well, past the initial episode, just to give you an idea of what you might be getting into. Nothing too unique. For some strange reason, they've gone with some overpowered slime monster. So yeah, the main character is overpowered, and he's doing a little bit of traveling and wandering as you'd expect, being transported to this new dimension / world. And that's it, really. I hope I've enticed you. It doesn't look too bad in terms of colors. It looks nice. The humor is lowbrowish, which is fine. I don't mind that, but yeah, it could be an interesting adventure. And yeah, that's my first take on That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. That's the title. That's the official title. That should give you an idea of how it's laughing at the isekai genre. And I kind of like that. I like the One Punch style of anime, the Deadpool-esque third / fourth wall breaking elements to it, where this nobody virgin guy gets transported to, well, he gets stabbed by a nobody. He has potentially questionable material on his PC on his PC, and this nobody guy gets transported, dies in a nobody fashion, and gets transported to a world where he's a slime, which is essentially nothing, but his character is essentially overpowered. And yeah, that kind of slaps in the face of isekai, where you're special somebody traveling to another world, sometimes by choice, sometimes not by choice, usually not by choice, and then he's overpowered, and that's it. So where could things go? And initially looking at the second episode, he seems to be a good guy, and he's going to help people, and he's not going to get more powerful because he's already overpowered, but he's just going to do the simple things, I suppose, which is what I take away from it. It doesn't seem to be, if he's already at the apogee of as strong as he can possibly be, then what's there to do, really? He's already met the dragon as well. That's it. Take a look for yourselves. Hopefully you enjoy it. Links in the description, so on and so forth. Like, favorite, subscribe, thank you, and goodbye. Until next time.